should work.
So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. My name's Chad Peterson. I'm with ADT's Authorized Dealer Program, work in dealer recruitment and development. Today's topic is going to be setting up social media programs that deliver real results. So it's going to get into how do you design the expertise and wisdom of your sales, tech, and executive staff with a cost-effective social media marketing resources to produce consistent efforts to yield real results. In this session, you'll hear from industry peers who are making it happen on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. It's also going to cover a good basic content marketing strategy like customer newsletters that you can easily, ease the pain of social media by providing real fuel for social media engines. With that, Erica Wood, who is the CSO of American Fire and Security out of Dayton, Ohio, will be the presenter. Erica is a nationally recognized expert on social media and security marketing. Through her efforts with the Security Girl brand, she has made American Fire and Security number 16 on the SD&I Fast List 50. In 2012, she was selected as the WSC Woman of the Year and as a member of the SSN 20 under 40 class of 2012. With that, Erica?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And before I forget, because, I said I would, ADT is looking for authorized dealers. If y'all are interested, out front they've got flash drives and they can give you all the information on that. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is kind of tell you guys how I got into social media and how I kind of formed this addiction. I'm constantly on Twitter. I'm actually mad because the Wi-Fi isn't working here and I couldn't tweet during the last section because there was no Wi-Fi. A few years back, my husband and I were watching Attack of the Show. I don't know if you guys have ever watched it, if you've ever heard of it. They've switched people around and whatever, but they were talking about this new and upcoming thing called Twitter and how everyone needed to get on it, and they were really pushing it more for stars. They got people in Hollywood involved, and they said you should follow whoever you wanted to follow. So I got on there. I set up a personal account. I sent out a tweet, hello, is anyone out there? Knew nothing about Twitter, so I just kept tweeting things. Finally, one day, someone else in Dayton tweeted me back and said, hey, we're going to have a tweet up. And I was like, I have no idea what a tweet up is, but sure, let's go. There were 3 people there. And we all got together and we figured out kind of how to utilize it, at least for personal business. For personal reasons. And I said, well, if I can do this for personal reasons, I can do this for business reasons. If I'm reaching out to someone by saying, had a great breakfast, or whatever I was saying at the time, I can probably reach out to people and tell them who we are, what we're doing, and how we can help them by utilizing that platform. So, if my husband had not said, you need to do this, sign up for an account and figure it out, they say it's the next big thing, I probably wouldn't be standing here and talking about it now. How many of you guys are currently utilizing any sort of social media to promote your business? Good, bless you. About half, a little over half. How many of you are using Facebook? Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube for your business? Okay, that's good. Well, there are over 1 billion people utilizing Facebook every day worldwide. There's over 500 million on Twitter, over 1 billion unique users on YouTube every month, and over 77 million LinkedIn just in the United States alone. When you're looking at advertising on these sites or utilizing these sites, it's also good to know you guys know what your demographics are, but you also need to know what the demographics are of the people that are using those sites so that you're not advertising something to someone that's not in the right age group. So for Facebook, your core demographics, as you can see, is going to be that 25 to 54 age range. And for Twitter, you're really looking at the 25 to 54 age range. For YouTube, they broke it down. I know that the numbers don't add up to 100%, but YouTube statistics actually break it down by the United States. And YouTube, it's pretty consistent across the board, age group-wise, as far as what they're using. But LinkedIn, you're going to find it's going to be that 25 to 54 age range yet again. On Facebook, there are more female users than male. The same on Twitter. On YouTube, it's about 50-50. And on LinkedIn, it's 65% men use LinkedIn versus 35% women, which I actually thought was really interesting because it seems like my contacts are 50-50 on the LinkedIn side. And people often ask me, what's the difference? If I'm using one of these venues, isn't that good enough? Doesn't that count for all of them? And I want to point out that there's a lot more venues than just these 4. But I mean, we would be here for weeks covering every single thing that there is out there. I tell people that Facebook is a community. You're getting people to come in to like your business page, and you're kind of informing them of things. You're trying to start discussions that are on a post so that people can kind of have that community relationship. On Twitter, it's real-time interaction. You're tweeting when you're in a seminar. You're tweeting when you're out at the expo floor. It's real time. There's not a lot of thought that goes into it, but you want people to know what you're doing right now. YouTube is great for visual learning, and LinkedIn is more for the networking and B2B type marketing. So I'm going to start off reviewing a few things on Facebook. I'm designing this as kind of a where to start for people that have never used it, and I'll try to work up to, if you're using it, I may hopefully give you guys a few tips. If you guys don't have a business Facebook page, and let's say you know how when you go to Facebook, you can set up a personal Facebook account, and then you have to approve your friends and do whatever. A lot of businesses still have their business pages set up that way, where they've created, let's say, a Gmail account or something generic, and they've made their business page just like a personal fan page, where someone consistently has to monitor it, has to approve someone to like them, and it's a lot more high-pressured, if you will. And it also, if people have to wait for that feedback to be approved to be in your community, they're less likely to actually request that friendship. So make sure that you go and you set up a business page. So if you guys haven't done that, you can still do that. I have some friends, some clients of ours that they asked me to help them set this up for them. And they created a personal page just so that all their managers could get on and get to their business page that way. Even though they didn't have to do that, that's how they did it. But make sure that you have a business page set up. When you're setting up the business page, make sure that your category and page name actually represent your business. When you're picking a picture, don't pick a picture of y'all out at the pub crawl, for example. Make sure that you have a picture of your company logo. I've seen it. Make sure that you have your company logo or something that represents your brand. When you're saying who you are, what you do, just make it a couple of sentences. Don't make it a big, long paragraph. Just give a general idea. People are wanting something that they can read really quick and say, yes, I want to like this page. No, I don't want to like this page. Once you get enough likes, and I believe it's 35 likes right now on Facebook. It used to be much higher. You can set up a customized URL. Make sure that your URL matches your brand. So if your website, for example, our website is afs911.com. For American Fire and Security, our Facebook is AFS911. So make sure that you have some consistent marketing so that people can remember where to find you if they're just searching. And Facebook also now has cover photos. It's not super new, but also make sure that that represents your brand. When you're doing a Facebook post, make sure that they're relevant to your audience and to your business. A lot of businesses use Facebook to give exclusive information, exclusive specials. Call us today, use offer code 1234, and save 10% on your purchase. Make it a Facebook exclusive. And when you're posting about current events, holidays, news that's going on with your company, please keep it current. I saw on Monday, Happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there on a business page. So if you're going to post that, make sure you actually post it on Father's Day. When you're doing your Facebook post, even though Facebook pretty much gives you an unlimited amount of space to post whatever you want, try to keep it no more than 250 characters. The shorter the posts are, the quicker people can read those posts. You're going to get more likes, comments, shares. They don't want to spend all day reading about what you're doing. Just keep it short enough. Make sure that your page is visual. Facebook is very visual. If you have a special, if you have something going on, if there's something that you want people to know about, include a picture. Create special albums. This is from the Security Girls page. So every event that we go to, we have an album for it. I'll have an EXX 2013 album coming up. Make sure that you have that so that people can go back, look through, and see what's going on. Make your Facebook page engaging. If it's not engaging, people aren't going to keep going back to it. So ask polls, encourage people to take part in conversations, and if you guys feel like doing some sort of a giveaway, do that and make sure it's promoted and make sure that you give a deadline. If you leave the giveaway open forever, people are going to try to take part forever. But your biggest goal when you guys are using Facebook is fan interaction. You're wanting to expand your community and you're wanting people to share your stories. And if you guys don't have a Facebook page yet, make sure that when you guys are asking fans to come that you actually have content on your page, that there's something that makes them, again, want to go and like that page. If you guys have a page and you're thinking, I don't have very many fans, I don't know how to get more fans, make sure that you're advertising it. Make sure that your page has the auto like feature. Some pages you have to go to another special page or approve something and then you can be a fan of their page. Don't make it difficult. Make it very easy for them to be able to do. Obviously, invite your friends, your family, your coworkers to like that page. Facebook has sponsored likes. They will at least for a few more weeks. They're talking about getting rid of it. So if you pay for it and I like your page, my friends will all get to see, Erica likes this page, you should like it too, because you're friends. So make sure that you have all of those likes from those people, and if you guys are looking at doing paid advertising with Facebook, that's really when that's going to come in handy. Also make sure that you advertise it on every piece of business literature that you have a Facebook page. And this is going to be the same for all of your social media sites. It's going to seem redundant. But if people don't know it's there, they're not going to go out and search for it. The newest thing with Facebook, and I've had people ask me this week, I've had people email me, is Facebook now has searchable hashtags. Does everyone in here know what a hashtag is? Okay. It started off as a Twitter thing. That on Twitter, if you wanted a stream to be searchable, like this week for ESX, we're using the hashtag ESX2013. You can search ESX 2013 by typing that into the search engine on Twitter, and you can see every news feed, every tweet that someone's put out about ESX 2013. Facebook has kind of stolen that idea and made it that if someone uses a hashtag in their Facebook post, and I use ESX 2013, you can click on that. It's a clickable link just like a URL. You can see everything about ESX 2013 that shows up on there, and you can actually comment on it, and you can use it like a community forum if that hashtag catches on. Hashtag marketing in social media is incredibly popular. If you're going to use it, make sure that people know what the hashtag is so that you can actually follow the stream and not just hope that someone's writing about what's going on with your event. Any questions so far? Okay. I'm going to move on to Twitter. A lot of people ask me what Twitter is, and I kind of refer to it as a microblogging site. You have 140 characters to say whatever it is that you want to say about Twitter. You can't go over that, you can go below that, but you have 140 characters. That's also going to include any linkable URLs that you have in Twitter. So make sure that you kind of watch that word count there. When you're writing your tweets, be direct, but you don't have to spend a lot of time. And when I send a tweet, it's kind of a cross between me sending a text and me sending out a little mini note about something. But when I send out a tweet, I have to make sure that it doesn't look like something that came from my 16-year-old cousin. I don't want it to have a lot of short terms because it's coming from a business account. So I want to be able to use full words, but yet not make it seem like, I don't know, I'm drunk while I'm tweeting or something. So make sure that you're really being somewhat precise, but remember that 140 characters. If you go past that, they're not going to see what you have to say. Twitter is a great target for social media marketing because it's still new. A lot of people are still getting on there, playing around with it. I've had people tell me this week, our shuttle driver said, I have it, but I don't know what to do with it. So he talked to me about Twitter on the ride over. So because it's still new and people are still investigating it, it's still a really popular thing, even though it's been out for quite a few years. It's probably the quickest and easiest way to get your message out there because it's short, it's simple, it's sweet. And it also really allows you to be conversational. If people use the @ sign and they kind of shout out to you, it's a great way to show, not only to have a conversation, but you can click below if you see a conversation happening, show conversation, you can see what they're talking about and join in if you want. So it's a great community forum. If you guys don't yet have Twitter, be sure to choose a name yet again that represents your brand, that represents your company. For American Fire and Security, it's AFS 911. Again, we've kept that the same with using a logo. And you have 140 characters to do a bio on Twitter. So again, it's short, it's sweet. It should probably be about the same length as you have on your Facebook page. You can use what they call buzzwords to kind of be a little bit more searchable, but don't go overboard because then it's not going to show up in a search engine. Again, when you send your first tweet, don't just use characters, but yet remember to be conservative and make it look professional. If you're looking to gain Twitter followers, invite your friends, your family, use hashtags for your local community. For us in Dayton, we have a Dayton hashtag, and you can search everything that's going on in Dayton. And you can actually, they call it fishing. You can follow all of those people. So utilize those hashtags also to find followers, find people to work with. You can also use hashtags in a search term for burglary, alarm, security, whatever you want, and your city, and be able to communicate with people that way. We've actually found some clients that way because they've tweeted that they just got robbed. So, and they don't have a system. So I reach out to them that way. Make sure that you have your Twitter account again and all of your invoices, flyers, everything that you do. Let people know that you have it. The biggest tips I can give with Twitter, because your feed, once you have so many followers, it's incredibly overwhelming. So go to the settings section, and there's a box that says, email me when I receive a new DM, a new tweet, a new whatever. And a DM is a mini email for those of you that don't know. It's a 140-character email that someone sends you on Twitter. Make sure that you have that checked. You can also check every time that you have a new follower. I turned that off because I started getting a lot of followers and my email box was getting flooded. But this is the safest way to make sure that you're not missing someone trying to communicate with you. Remember that it's a networking site. If someone is following you, Twitter has what they call Friend Follow Friday. It's #FF. I had to ask what that was when I first started Twitter because I didn't know, so I started asking questions. Be sure to thank them. I try to do it every Friday. I don't do it as people start following me, but on Fridays I'll do, it seems like an entire day of thanks for following me at whoever it is. And that's what goes out all day, so that they make sure that they know that I value the fact that they took the time to follow me, read my tweets, and see what was going on. And typically they'll retweet that, so you end up getting more followers to tweet back as well. So it's a great way to build your community. One of the best resources that I can tell you about is if you have a Facebook, a Twitter, a LinkedIn. This doesn't work so well for YouTube, but any social media platform that you have, just about, you can monitor and use a social media manager. So basically, instead of you logging into Twitter, you logging into Facebook, you logging into LinkedIn, you just log into your social media manager. I use Hootsuite, but there's a lot of them. You can post your messages out that way through that social media manager, but it also allows you to schedule your messages throughout the day. So you're not sitting in front of the computer all day to make sure that you're tweeting at lunchtime, to make sure that you're tweeting at dinner time, or popular times when people are actually reading the tweets, reading the Facebook posts. And a lot of these also have, I call them algorithms, but they have built-in stuff so that you can choose auto schedule and it will say when the best time is to send out that Facebook post, to send out that tweet, to send out that LinkedIn message to your LinkedIn page. For me, that's been really helpful because I don't have to try to figure it out. They're already doing that for me. It also allows you to have those search terms so you can have multiple columns. And for me, my last search terms right now are the ESX 2013. I've got security, I've got Ohio, I've got Dayton. But then I just scroll over in the social media manager to those columns, and I can just see what's going on with the hashtags that I'm searching. So I don't have to go into the search bar every time and hope that I see it. Just when I go into the manager and I refresh it, it's already there. And I also suggest, and it depends, most of these social media managers will let you use up to 5 accounts for free. So unless you're managing more than 5 accounts, typically the free version offers all the analytics, all the email reporting, all of the everything that you want. So that's what I use is the free version. The 2 social media managers that I'm really familiar with and that I've used are Hootsuite and TweetDeck. And there are some differences between them. I like Hootsuite better. TweetDeck will allow you to connect Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, LinkedIn, and Foursquare. And you can type in the same post, check which ones you want. It's the same for both of these. And just, it'll post them all at the same time, so you're not, again, logging into those different platforms. Hootsuite focuses more on streams. You have more customizable tabs. You can organize the tabs by account. And I think it's just easier to monitor the feed a little bit better. And this is what they look like. And of course, I think that they're both changing the way that they look. TweetDeck has a darker background. Hootsuite has more of a lighter background, and it has a lot more columns that you can use for search terms. Unlimited as far as I know. I'm going to cover YouTube now. Are you guys using your own YouTube account, or do you have a company branded YouTube account that you're using? Company branded? None? Company? Okay. I suggest that you do a company branded account instead of using your own personal account. A lot of manufacturers, the reason that we actually got into YouTube is a lot of manufacturers have videos that you can post in your own kind of YouTube folder. So when clients ask me for a demonstration, if, for example, on Video IQ, I just send them the link to my YouTube page with the Video IQ folder that I have, and they can watch all of that stuff and see how it works in real time. I don't have to say, well, let me come down, set up my laptop, whatever. I say, do you mind if I send you a YouTube link? You can look it over. We'll schedule a call for tomorrow, whatever, and we'll go back over it. So that's how we're utilizing the YouTube. If you don't have one yet, and you have to have a Gmail account to have a YouTube account, set up a separate channel just for your company. If you use an email account that isn't affiliated with your Gmail account, they're going to actually send you an email to verify it. Again, choose a URL that's actually going to signify your brand. It's going to be incredibly repetitive with all this, but choose a URL that signifies your brand and let people know that you have it. Some tips that I have for YouTube: if you're actually going to be out and making your own video, at the end of the video there's a lot of free software programs. Make sure that you're giving your name, your phone number, all of your contact information at the beginning and at the end, or you can just do one or the other, but it's basically you're just making a PowerPoint slide and inserting it into it. It's incredibly easy. Make sure that you're posting links to your videos on all of your other social media sites. And you can engage with the YouTube community by leaving posts on manufacturer brand sites and whatever, because then they'll follow your YouTube page. And perhaps you can also get notifications every time they have a new video coming out if you follow them. I follow ESX. Every time there's a new ESX video, I get a notification to tell me to go and watch it. As I already mentioned, you can show and share manufacturer videos. Make sure that the content that you share on your YouTube page is something that people want to see. Use it to host a video that you have on your website. Instead of you using your website server to actually have all of that video showing, just use that as a way to host it, and it actually saves you a lot of time and a lot of money that way. You can often embed a YouTube player directly into a lot of your websites. And a lot of people are now posting customer video testimonials, technicians, how technicians do things, set up things, to show how easy it is, to kind of ease that fear so people already have a good idea of what you're doing. I'm going to cover LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is probably, when I was setting this up, the hardest one to cover, because there's a lot of different ways that you can utilize LinkedIn. Does everyone in here have a personal page on LinkedIn? Everyone does? Okay. The last people I talked to, a lot of people haven't even ventured into it yet because they're just not sure what to do, how to do it, how to find people. So most of this is going to be redundant for you then. Setting up your account, using your email box to actually be able to search for people that you may know that you haven't connected with yet. I still do this every so often because I'm always connecting with people via email, and I never think to go and connect with them on LinkedIn. So every so often LinkedIn pops up with a little message and says, do you want to check your email? And I'll say yes, but I never have them send out invitations to people that aren't on LinkedIn, because I feel like that's spammy. Make sure the biggest thing that I can tell you as far as LinkedIn goes on your personal page is to make sure that you have references, from clients that you've worked with, from manufacturers that you've worked with, from other employees. The reason I say that is right now LinkedIn has that promote button that you can do, that you can go in and say, yes, Erica knows about social media, or she knows about access control. Search engines aren't recognizing that as being valuable, but if you have recommendations, it actually boosts up your LinkedIn profile significantly. It kind of completes that profile even more. And if you are not a member of a LinkedIn group, make sure that you guys get involved with groups. Are you guys familiar with LinkedIn groups at all? Yes? Okay. LinkedIn will only allow you to be a member of 50 groups. So if I join a group that doesn't have any activity, that people really aren't doing anything, I let it go when I go onto a group that has, the activity that I want to see. So make sure that you keep that in mind, because I'm at my 50 groups, and I could really use some more because we cover so many different cities. We went over the emailing already. The really nice thing about LinkedIn is that if you guys already have your members and you've went through your email addresses, typically up in the upper right-hand corner on the home page, they're going to have a people you may know. So make sure that if you know them, that you connect with them, and every time that you're connecting with someone, make sure that you're sending them a personal message. Just don't hit connect. Hey, it was great to meet you at the ESX conference, or wherever you met them at. It was great to meet you at the Chamber conference. I look forward to connecting with you more via LinkedIn. Every time somebody connects with me on LinkedIn, whether I know them or not, I always thank them for taking the time to connect with me and ask them if they're local, if they ever want to go out and meet for coffee, get to know each other more. Sometimes I get no, but a lot of times I get yes, and that's been a great way to not only make new friends, but it's a great referral source. As soon as they know you and they know what you're doing, it makes a big difference. You can also utilize LinkedIn personally by using the advanced search results features. So if you're looking for people in a certain industry in your area. Right now I'm connecting with a lot of insurance agents. So I just went on LinkedIn, typed in insurance agent, Dayton, Ohio, and I found all these insurance agents that I wasn't connected with. I connected with them, made appointments with them via LinkedIn to meet with them in their office. Some were receptive, some weren't, but I actually had probably an 80% success rate with the people I went through so far. I do 2 or 3 a week, and it works out wonderfully. A LinkedIn company page is really intended for people to go on and learn about your company. From a business standpoint, it allows a company to tell its story, highlight their products and services, engage with their followers. If you have a premium paid service through your company page, you can actually use it for job recruiting. And it's also a great way for word of mouth type marketing. People will talk with what they see. For professionals, when they're searching company pages, it allows them to explore the companies that they're interested in, get the latest updates in industry news, to research the products and services on the company, and to learn about job opportunities. I kind of look at a LinkedIn company page as a mini website for your company. So when you're setting it up, kind of think of it that way. If you guys have not yet set up a company page, you basically just go over your interest at the top of the page, you select companies, add the link to the upper right-hand corner, and you just put in all of your information and you set it up. People often ask how that information is seen. Only an administrator, number one, can post those updates on LinkedIn, so not just anyone can get on your LinkedIn page and post a company update. Members can see all of your updates on the company's home tab, and followers of your company page actually get whatever's going on within the stream itself. Any LinkedIn member can comment, like, or share a company status update. And once a member takes the action on the update, everyone in their network will also see that posting. So if they like it, everyone in their network immediately sees that posting on the company update page. Company updates should be authentic, relevant, and fairly short. Again, back to that 250 character limit. LinkedIn does give you a limit on that. The better your content is, the more chance it is to go viral with likes, shares, etc. Posts that feel spammy or look spammy, not only are they not going to get liked, but LinkedIn can actually cancel your company page if they get complaints on them. I'm going to go over a little bit on how utilizing social media can help with your search engine optimization. For Facebook, make sure that you have your address and everything in on your company Facebook page. By having that, Facebook actually goes and they search, or Google, I should say, or whoever, goes into Facebook and they actually search for who's local and whose page is active. So if you have a Facebook company page and you haven't done anything with it for months, which unfortunately I see a lot, the search engines aren't going to look at that as valuable content. So even though you may have great information about alarm systems, it's not going to pop up in the search engine at all. People won't see your name. And again, they utilize this for local only. On LinkedIn, it's really the exact same thing. If you're utilizing your LinkedIn business page, make sure that you're posting regularly. I try to post about every week and a half on the LinkedIn business page. And what you put on there with your address and everything, again, the search engines actually will pull that up and consider it relevant. The more interaction you have on both of these pages, the more the search engines actually look at them and say, yeah, this is a good business to pop up in the search engine. And the biggest thing about SEO, I know that we're not covering this, but Google really likes Google. So if you use Google+, if you guys haven't set up a Google+ page, I don't have how to set it up on these slides. Set up a Google+ page, make sure that you're using it at least once a week, that you're posting relevant content, and that you're gaining a community on Google+. So typically what I do is I take one of my Facebook posts or my Twitter posts, and I make sure that I go to Google+ and I post it on there as well. You can use hashtags on Google+, and Google also has, if you put the plus signal in front of anything that you do, you can also search things that way. No, go ahead. As of right now, Google's kind of trying to keep it to themselves. I haven't received any notification from Hootsuite to say that I can add that on yet. But really, I know it sounds bad. If you're only doing it once a week and you have a scheduled day, it's not that hard to do it, but you just have to remember to make sure that you're using it. And also make sure that your business has been claimed on Google Places. That will also help with that SEO. Do you guys have any other questions about this? Yeah, that's why we set up a Google Plus page. It wasn't because I was thrilled about Google Plus. There's not a lot of people on there. But Google really likes itself, so it's going to rank its stuff higher than anyone else. Now I'm going to go over some tips and tricks that I found kind of handy here and there. Make sure that you guys have a social media schedule and that you keep to it. Whether you're doing it yourself or you've hired a social media manager to handle this, make sure that you stick to that schedule. One of the local restaurants that I follow in Dayton, every Tuesday, they post a video on how to make something very simple. But they've committed to it, and they've kept with it. Another hair salon always has a special on Thursdays. That's just their schedule, and they know that people are actually going to go on those days to their page and look at it. And if they've tagged something else special during the week, people are actually going to go in and look at that, and they'll learn more about them. I highly recommend that you download Twitter or Facebook or a social media manager app to your cell phone, to your tablet, whatever it is that you guys choose to use. By having that social media manager, it's going to alert you right away if something's going on. So if you're managing it, you don't have to be stuck at the office all day waiting for someone to communicate with you. You can also link your social media sites together in some cases. So you can link your Facebook post to your Twitter. There's a setting on Facebook that you can go in and do that. And you can link your Twitter post to your LinkedIn, but you can't link Facebook to LinkedIn. But it still ends up getting there through all of the links. So if you're not using a social media manager, or you're just wanting to post something on Facebook, but you wouldn't mind if it wound up on Twitter, make sure that you link them together. And because I have them all linked together once I posted it on Facebook, whenever I post on Facebook, it's actually on Facebook. I don't go and post it through a social media manager because I like to attach pictures and have it all real time. But make sure that they're linked together. We already talked a little bit about Friend Follow Friday. Make sure that your social media campaign is tied to your traditional marketing. If you guys are doing a free key fob, or if you're doing free monitoring or whatever, make sure that you're advertising that. If you have anything that is in print, make sure that you have a PDF version of it and that you post it on your Facebook and on your Twitter and on your LinkedIn. On LinkedIn and your company page, you can attach files. Always make sure that those are on there so that people can see them, because you're not going to be able to mail them to everybody. And your ultimate goal, of course, is going to be to gain followers and hopefully convert them to customers, referral sources, leads. When you're on social media, don't constantly try to sell. People are generally on there for a personal reason. So they don't want to see every day that you're selling them something, that you have a special every day. They might just want to see what's going on in the company. So when you're doing your schedule for the week, try to have a good balance of what's going on. I know that I've been getting tweets and DMs about kind of overloading about what's going on here in Nashville, but then I've also been getting, it's great to see what you guys are actually doing, what you're learning, and what's going on. So I haven't been so focused on sales as I had been letting our customers know what we're learning and what's going on here. Make sure that you're combining your social media approach. If someone emails you a question, or Facebooks you a question, or tweets you a question, make sure that you're going across all platforms. You've only got a very short amount of space to respond on these platforms. If you guys do happen to blog and you want to respond in the form of your blog, then you can just go back and post the blog on those sites. And that will also increase your SEO, because people are going to go and read it to read your response. And most importantly, don't forget to utilize social media as a customer service tool. If people have a complaint, they're going to complain on social media before they call you. So if they tag you and they complain about a service on Twitter, on Facebook, make sure that you have someone that's monitoring that so that they can respond right away. And make sure that your response generally, I recommend this, that it's public so that your followers can see that you care enough to respond. And the response may be, I'm so sorry to hear about that. Can you please give me a call at? But make sure that people see that you took the time to respond. Because the worst thing to do is to let people complain and never respond about it. You see that on TripAdvisor a lot, where you don't see hotels respond, and then people end up going back and complaining again. No one's ever called me. No one's ever followed up with me. It's just easier to vent on social media for people. I guess they're not yelling at you directly. So make sure that part of your monitoring involves customer service. On LinkedIn, make sure that your company updates actually have a link to your website, to your YouTube, to anything that you can do. And when you post a link on LinkedIn, it actually shortens that URL and makes it tiny. Make sure that you're on LinkedIn groups, not only local groups, but industry groups, so that you can network with peers. That way, if you have a question, you know who to go to right away. You can get with them on LinkedIn. And make sure that you're authentic, that you're genuine, and that everything is real that you do. I've seen complaints where everything seems like it's coming from a robot. That's been a complaint for some national brands because they've hired someone and they don't know exactly what they can say or what they can get away with. So make sure that it's genuine. My last tip is if you guys are not involved with the Electronic Security Association's sales and marketing professionals group, make sure that you get with us. Your membership to the SMP group is free with your ESA membership. All you have to do is sign up on the ESA website. And that will allow you to get all of our email updates about the webinars and everything that's going on. And Jacqueline doesn't know this, but if you have more questions, you can get with Jacqueline. She's the liaison. I'm sure she'll be thrilled with me about that. Get with her, and she can answer any questions that you have about that. But there's a lot of great content and a lot of great connections on there. They're on LinkedIn and Facebook, but I recommend that you get with them there. Does anyone have any questions about anything? So I feel like I went through that really fast.
On Twitter?
Yeah.
You picked a name that you thought was good at the beginning. You don't like it anymore. Can you change it?
Yeah, you actually go in under your username settings and you can change it at any time. When you've made the change, before you make it, once you see that it's available, the username's available, tweet out one last time under your old thing, hey guys, we're changing our name, it's now going to be this. If you don't, people will see that come through and they're going to say, how did I get with them? I've done that myself. But yes, Twitter's really the only one that you can do that with. LinkedIn, you can do it on your personal profile, but you have to request it and it takes a couple days, but Twitter is pretty immediate. So, good question. Someone over here, yeah? Okay. So you guys schedule a month out in advance? Okay. Yeah. Well, there are a few things. I try to schedule out a day at a time, and it seems like it's probably more time consuming than doing it a month at a time. I used to do a week at a time, and then a natural disaster would strike. Everybody would be talking about a hurricane or unfortunately a school shooting or whatever, and here I was the jerk tweeting about our sales special instead of about what people really cared about and what was relevant. And those are really considered more of spontaneous tweets as well. If you're wanting to retweet what's going on in Boston, I think that was all my Twitter was during that time frame, was retweeting and letting people know, because I felt like that was a way I could help. Make sure that, number one, that you pause whatever's going on if you're tweeting that far out in advance. You can actually get in there and actually pause those scheduled tweets. Do you have any sort of protocol to be able to do a last minute, or can you shoot them an email with what you want really quick, or a text? Is there any way to pre-approve a spontaneous tweet, or if that makes sense? Yeah, like pre-approve for if something happens, if you know that. Well, I've heard that before, where you've had to have everything approved, and that's really done to make sure that your company culture stays the same. I understand that. But typically, people just pre-approve certain spontaneous tweets. That's really the only way that I've ever heard of anybody getting around that, if that's your company policy. Any other questions? I mean, unless you tweet without permission. I mean, they'll know, but yeah, go ahead. The QR codes. Yeah, you can link the QR codes to basically whatever you want. The QR codes are great. We actually mess around with them for quite a while, to go to our website, to go to our LinkedIn, to go to our Twitter, Facebook, whatever. The problem with QR codes, even though they're everywhere, they're here on our badges here at the conference, is that the QR code readers don't always work. And it's not the software that you download to do the QR codes. It's typically the lens and the camera that's in people's cell phones. My best friend and I have the exact same QR code reader, and 90% of the time she scans it and it takes her nowhere because she's not getting a good image. And sometimes that also has to do with print quality of the QR codes, the size. So the bigger they are, the better they are as far as QR codes go. I don't know if you guys noticed at the show, but if you didn't hold these just right, they didn't scan. It's the exact same thing with QR code readers. It's got to be just about as flat as possible. I was going up like this, and they couldn't scan it. I had to hold it flat. But they do provide good results, and you also have to remember or assume that your audience is going to know what that is when they see it. That's the only bad thing, is there are still people, even my age, that don't know what this is. It looks like a blurb. And a lot of it, again, has to do with they're printing it so tiny. But you can actually, Google has one that you can do for free. Yeah. 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 I'm not big on the background, but I've used the Google QR code reader to create our QR codes, and it's worked beautifully. I've embedded them in on the website. Also, this is a little off topic. If you guys are Better Business Bureau members, they'll provide you with a QR code to your BBB site as well. You have to ask them. I wasn't aware until I went out and played golf one day with them, and they said, hey, do you have our QR code? Or so at least our local one does. So yeah, use the Google one, or you can go to Google and type in free QR code, whatever, and there'll be tons that pop up. But I usually try to recommend to keep the background as blank as possible, just so that they can click on it and get as clean of a scan as possible on that QR code. Uh-huh.
So the background will be the company logo with your information. So I was a little concerned, but that's good that you clarify that information.
Yeah. They're going to kill me because I can't remember their name, but there's a company in Dayton that's using this technology, the QR code technology, to actually promote, like they're using it at our local art museum, so that you can click the QR code reader and it will bring up all the information on the artist. So they're not spending money having those plaques made. They're now just having a QR code sticker made for certain special exhibits. So there's definitely a use for them. You could have people scan a QR code, and I've had this brought up a gazillion times, that you could have someone scan a QR code when they have a service issue, and it would bring up a service request form, and they could fill it out that way and email it over to you. It's literally unlimited what you could do with this. Once you create whatever form or website that's attached to it, it can do all sorts of stuff. Any other questions? I didn't even think about QR code readers for marketing. Yeah. And I didn't really go over email marketing at all. Does anyone have any questions about email marketing? There's been a lot of great classes about it, and that's really why I haven't went over it. I don't know how we are on time. Oh, it's out in 5 minutes anyways. If anyone wants to get in touch with me afterwards, if you guys have questions, comments, if you think of something later, I know I tweeted Interlogics earlier because after I left the booth, I thought of a question. Here's all of my contact information. A lot of it has to do with the security girl. On Facebook, I just want to let you know, if you're going to use the word security in your Facebook URL, at the time that I set ours up, it did not let me do that. So I had to make it AFS girl because I couldn't use the security girl because it kept bouncing security out. Twitter, the security girl, YouTube, the security girl, and LinkedIn, the security girl.
You give away T-shirts sometimes about the security girl on it?
T-shirts? Actually,
I heard of somebody giving away T-shirts on Facebook that said security girl, security man.
Oh, I don't do T-shirts. On the back of my business card, if anyone wants one, I've got plenty. I have an image of the security girl, and that's really big. And we actually created for our booths. I did a cardboard cutout, and she didn't last too long. Kids came up, moved her arm, moved her hand, and it broke, I think, after 2 or 3 uses. So we did one of those roll-out security girls, and people actually take their picture with her. So it's a great branding thing for us.
I have a question. Do you recommend the contest for the Facebook follower? Because I saw another company making contests about the teachers, about the iPad, about 2 months monitoring-free or
Yeah.
installation.
It's a great way to gain followers because typically people will share those contests. I know that a flower shop in Dayton, they actually post a picture of whatever they're giving away for a contest, and you have to comment on it. And there's software that you can use that will take those comments, those followers, and import it into the software, and it will randomly come up with somebody. I don't know any of those software names, but I can find out for you if you want them. So that it's not like you're just picking your best friend to win the flowers or to win the giveaway or whatever. And make sure that you note that it's random. We have a client of ours that's a restaurant that she just imports all of those into Excel and uses some auto finder on Excel. She'll just punch in a letter and it will find whatever. So that's her free way of doing it because that software I believe you do have to pay for. Good question. Any other questions about anything? Okay, well, that concludes everything. And again, ADT, our lovely sponsors, have these wonderful, wonderful thumb drives out there if y'all need a thumb drive. And I have no idea. I didn't even ask. I just said okay, so I don't know. But they're cool. They probably do, because it's for their dealer marketing program. All right, thank you guys so much, and they have the CEU hours out there as well. Yeah, I should probably.